Nate from The Bachelorette was exposed as a liar and cheater from his exes. Peter and Kelley reunite after a year they dated, and a new Bachelor in Paradise flyer that has everybody flocking. Hey guys, and welcome back to another shared news. We're gonna get into the top Bachelor headlines of the week, but before we do, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you're new here, subscribe to our channel. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, joined by Blakely McHugh. Blakely, it's been a little bit of a slow week in Bachelor Nation, but what did you think when you heard these Nate rumors from his ex-girlfriend that spoke out? I mean, I guess the beginning of the week started off pretty strong.
Yeah, I was a little bit shocked and a little bit sad, only because I love Nate. I find him super endearing. I really like him a lot. So what I feel like I know of Nate through the show, and now what we're hearing, is just not adding up.
Yeah, it's just two completely different things. So, I mean, what we're seeing on the show is that he was very open about his daughter from the beginning and, his marriage, and he's kind of, been vulnerable with Gabby. So what we're hearing from his ex-girlfriend is that he is a two-timer and that he strung her along for a year and a half and never told her about his kid. She actually had to find out on TV, and she made a TikTok about it. Pretty shocked that she had no idea, because she even met his brother and part of the other members of his family and his friends, and she never knew. And she also accused Nate of cheating on her with another girl, Lorraine, and even showed text messages to prove it to Reality Steve, who put together this timely, lengthy article with all of the receipts that Kelsey provided him. So what do you think about Nate now? Do you believe Kelsey? Do you think that she's the scorned ex-girlfriend? I mean, how do you interpret this?
I'm inclined to side with Nate a little bit here. I don't know why, but I feel like, here's the thing. I'm a really big believer in giving people the benefit of the doubt. I feel like when you have a child in the mix, sometimes you genuinely have no idea how to navigate those waters. Is it weird that they dated over a year, and she never found out about the child? Yes, because you'd think that that naturally comes up in conversation. But also, if he never saw that relationship going somewhere, and it was just a relationship that was sort of like a rebound or after his divorce to get him back in the game, etc., then there probably was no reason for him to include his child and fill this woman in on who his daughter is. I believe he has a daughter. So I don't know. It's a little funky. There's probably something fishy there going on, but I feel like, some people just have no idea how to navigate those waters after a divorce when you have a child. And at the same time, he has to consider his baby mama. Like, how did she feel? Does she want him? Maybe he's being really considerate of her, and she didn't want him introducing their child or talking about the child. So I don't know. I feel like I want to hear Nate's side. I want to hear what he has to say before I totally make a judgment, because from everything that I've seen that's been portrayed of him, he's a kind, compassionate, loving person, and it doesn't add up with the storyline that's being told about him, from this other woman.
Yeah, and I love your optimism, and I love giving people the benefit of the doubt. We have to hear Nate's side of the story, but I don't know. I think it's a little shady. I really think that a year and a half dating someone, this girl Kelsey had pictures to prove it. They went on various trips together. They spent Valentine's Day together. Like, this wasn't just like someone casually he was dating. So yeah, I kind of think it is a little shady that she never found out about his kid. I understand if he wanted to keep that private and maybe not introduce her, but to not even mention, that he has a daughter, I think that's weird after a few months of dating, let alone a year and a half. So yeah, I'm interested to hear Nate's side of the story. And apparently he did address it at the Men Tell All, which was filmed yesterday. And I do have a little bit of tea to share with the class as I heard what went down. And apparently Nate didn't know how he would bring a girl into it, as in, as you kind of mentioned, he didn't know how he was going to date after his divorce. He didn't know how he would tell someone about his daughter. He was just kind of trying to figure out those waters for the first time. I think he felt ashamed and embarrassed. And he also says that he wasn't sexually active with both of the girls at the same time, who, Kelsey alleged that he was cheating on her with another girl named Lorraine. Now, Nate is saying he wasn't sexually active with them both at the same time, and, those weren't exclusive relationships. And apparently, the audience actually painted Nate in a positive light, and Rachel and Gabby were supportive of him. And he might be able to kind of clear things up. I mean, Bachelor Nation seems to be pretty upset with him, but it looks like he might be getting a fairly good edit, or it might have just went really well for him at the Men Tell All. So that's kind of what I'm hearing.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You don't have to be sexually active with another person to be cheating on somebody. So that doesn't totally clear his name with he just saying he wasn't sexually active with both of them. Like, I consider cheating if we're dating and you're going on dates with other people and you're kissing somebody else or whatever. Like, emotional cheating is a thing as well. So you don't have to be sexually active. But I mean, it seems like maybe from his point of view, he's saying they weren't exclusive. I don't know how you date for a year and a half somebody and you're not exclusive. My other thought is too, and not saying that this is right, but sometimes you don't, when you don't mention something, right, then you put it off a little longer, then you put it off a little longer. It almost seems like now, you've lost your time to say it, and it's going to be worse saying it a year and a half in, and now if you don't see it going somewhere, you're just not going to ever bring it up to begin with. I mean, it's still, not that I'm saying it's right, and it's funky in my mind, and probably if I was this girl, I'd be feeling and thinking and saying the same things. I don't know that I'd be, doing articles and TikToks and whatever for my 2 seconds of fame. But, I'm curious to kind of see the full thing of what he says at the Men Tell All. I think, was it Ivan who said that he was going to help share Nate's story or something like that?
It was Dustin, one of his friends.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. And I also think that Gabby and Rachel have good heads on their shoulders. And I think that they have good gauges on whether or not somebody is, a good person if they just made a mistake. So I'm inclined to also kind of fall in line with their, assumptions of him.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. We have to kind of hear him out and see it on the TV versus all the hearsay. I was not at the Men Tell All, but I also, based on this information, I want Nate to still take accountability, because at the end of the day, he clearly led this girl on enough. And, there are screenshots to prove that he was dating multiple people at once. So I think he needs to take some accountability. There's obviously a reasoning, and I understand that, he was nervous dipping into these waters, but he definitely has to kind of own up to some things, and then he can share his side of the story as well. We want to hear from him, because we do like watching him, and we were rooting for him this season. So we'll see what happens. And what? I
have a question, because you said it seems like they're giving him a good edit, and I believe, didn't Mike Fleiss tweet like, we need to hear Nate's side, or there's more? I mean, I feel like that was kind of weird. Do you think that that's happening and he's getting this good edit and this good portrayal because maybe he's going to be the Bachelor?
Yeah, that was another thing that people were talking about. No, a lot of people were saying that he was in the running to be the next Bachelor, and they are trying to figure that out right now, who the next Bachelor will be, as they start filming in September, and will most likely announce the lead on after the final rose for Rachel and Gabby's season. So maybe they're trying to do some damage control. But, there's no clear cut and dry of who the next Bachelor is going to be. We just know that Nate was one of or still could be in the running. But I also think that the show just wants to protect people these days. I think that there's been a lot of bullying and harassment on the show, and it's kind of created this culture. And I think that they just don't want Nate to go downhill, because they have kind of hyped him up all season long. And he does seem to be a great guy from what we're seeing on the show. Like, I've only thought positive things about him watching him this season. Yeah. So do you think Nate can still be the Bachelor after his ex? Do you think she took that opportunity away from him?
I think he certainly could, especially since he's having Bachelor Nation, or at least, producers and other contestants kind of backing him and defending him. I think it will all depend on how well his response resonates with fans. So when we hear him on the Men Tell All, if he makes some kind of post, if it resonates well and in turns, he continues to be in this positive light, I think he'll be fine. If it's not good enough for people and then it has questions and it doesn't make sense, then I don't think that he would be in the running.
I personally don't think he's going to be the next Bachelor. after all of this. And, I also don't think that he's in the top few. I mean, I guess we just gave you guys a spoiler, so sorry about that. But if he's at the Men Tell All, he's probably not making the top 2 or 3. And I think usually the top 2 or 3 is where The Bachelor usually comes from, kind of like what
You're
happened with Rachel and Gabby.
right.
But they could do a curveball. I mean, we found out that Clayton was going to be the Bachelor before Michelle's season even started. So
Yes.
I don't know exactly what they're going to do. I have no idea who the next Bachelor is going to be. We'll see. But let's move on to our next topic. Pilot Pete and Kelley Flanagan were spotted together this week at a Cubs game in Chicago. Peter was the Bachelor obviously a couple years ago, and he got engaged to Maddie or Hannah Ann, and then they broke up. Then he went to Maddie. Then he dated Kelley Flanagan for like almost a year, and then their breakup played out for a year in podcast culture and in the headlines. So Us Weekly, Entertainment Tonight, all the articles, all the news outlets are confirming that they were just spotted together, and they left it at that. But I have some tea for you as well today, Blakely. I talked to one of the publicists, and I got some information. Apparently, they were at the Cubs game together with their they were at the Cubs game together with their management team. They share the same manager, so it really was just a group thing that they were together. And I kind of think that after their breakup ended so long ago, at this point, that they can kind of just be friends and let bygones be bygones. But the fact that they were walking together and spotted together makes me think that they did this on purpose to get people buzzing and talking about them. And I don't think they're together or at all. So this is kind of giving a little thirsty moves to me by Peter and Kelley.
So I actually love that you have this information, because Allison and I talked about this yesterday for a panel about, and my cat wants to join. This is just the the joys of an at-home studio. Say hello to everybody, Blue. Okay.
It's a big cat.
I know. She's very chunky. So Allison and I were just talking about this the other day for the panel, kind of what we thought was going on here. Was it coincidental? Did they just randomly run into each other? Allison did throw out the idea, is it a PR stunt? So glad to hear some of this tea, because I know a lot of people have been curious. And, it doesn't seem like it's far off for Peter to do something like this, but I don't know why. I feel like Kelley is better than having to do a PR stunt. And by the way, a PR stunt with Peter, because they ended on such negative terms. I mean, I guess it makes sense because then obviously that's stirring up a lot of conversation, but there was never a time where I thought I would see this happen.
Yeah, I thought it was above Kelley as well, but we also need to remember, like, Kelley does things a lot on Instagram where she'll like post pictures of like guys' legs. I feel like she's done this twice, like pretending she has a boyfriend, and then it ends up being just like a friend. So I feel like sometimes she does do things for attention. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were honestly just, with the management team, as I mentioned, and we're just walking to get food, and then people happen to snap them. But yeah, they're definitely not together. And I mean, this is what gets people talking. I think it makes, sense for them in a way, because like they were linked together. And I know it's like kind of thirsty, as I mentioned, but I also feel like this is what people do when they're in the public eye and they want to stay relevant and they want to promote their podcasts or their influencer career.
Certainly.
Like it's kind of like, yeah, it's annoying, but it's also like, all right, fine, I get it. You have to kind of do that to keep yourself in the media. So it's kind of like, it's your job almost to make headlines. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. And my thought then is, what are they promoting? Because Pilot Pete has been pretty quiet, I feel like, the last year and a half or so. Oh, is he starting a podcast?
He's had a podcast, and I was on it actually last year. It's called Bachelors in the City. That could be a reason to get people to want to watch and listen to his podcast and hear what they talk about. And maybe Kelley will even go on the podcast.
Is it like a popular podcast? Because I didn't know about it.
Well, I guess if you didn't know about it, it's maybe not be that popular, but I think a lot of people listen. I've definitely listened to a few episodes when the tea has been hot. But yeah, they talk about The Bachelor and other reality shows and have some guests on. I mean, it's not one of the big ones like the Vile Files or Chatty Broads, but it's doing a lot better than my podcast.
Let's plug the podcast right now, Zach.
Yeah, everyone, listen to Zachary Reality.
There we go. Love it.
So, are you gonna tune into his next podcast when he talks about Kelley?
No. I've
No.
my I want to say ship has sailed for Peter, but I want to use an airplane pun, so my flight is taken off.
Love that. Love it.
Thank you.
Well, we'll see what
Thank
happens
you.
if they ever address it or if they ever hang out again. Either way, we wish them well. Bachelor in
Yes.
Paradise is coming back September 27th. We have a new promo shoot, which I'm excited about because I don't feel like they've changed theirs in a couple years. But we have
Yeah.
two flamingos basically effing each other. And a lot of fans have mixed reactions. Now, I know some people really love the colors, but some alumni even posted, "What is this? This is weird." Ari Lyondike, former Bachelor, even said that this is a family show because it's on ABC. Like, Love Island and FY Island are more scandalous. So, what is Paradise trying to be? A lot of people seem to be off put about the flamingos humping each other because they're literally rafts. I like the colors, Blakely, but I like the flamingos, but I feel like we need people. Like, is it a show about like flamingos or people? I almost felt like they should have had two people on the flamingo, even if they were like blurred
Hmm.
out or like shadows. Um, just because it seems a
Okay.
little awkward with like a raft. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it certainly makes sense because it's not accurately representing kind of like what the show is. But I don't know. The Bachelor, whoever's creating these commercials and these promo pics and these advertisers, I mean, they've been doing something different this year. I feel like we've talked about this a few times, Zach, that the Bachelor has to sort of it has to be in a little bit of this transition period because things need to change for them to stay relevant. And I think that this is them changing to try and stay relevant. Or maybe they're recognizing that their demographic, while it's still, it still involves a lot of the older women population, but I feel like their demographic has gotten maybe younger and younger because you have a lot of, millennials and Gen Zers, especially with who's actually like a lot of the contestants are usually in their 20s. So I would say that their demographic is 20 to 30. So it feels like they're appealing more to who their viewers are and their younger age group of what their viewers are. I don't actually know if that's correct, but that's what it feels like to me. It's certainly getting people talking. I mean, we had Jesse Palmer say dump his ass about the boyfriend commercial. Then we had the one last week that said, you were set up on a date and it turned out to be your cousin. Like, they're doing some pretty like unhinged things with their promos. But I'm honestly kind of here for it. I thought the pun on the DTF and the down to flock and the flamingos were kind of funny. And it almost made me more excited because it's like, okay, are we getting anything fresh, funky, and new this year other than, what we get every year? Well, I mean, Bachelor in Paradise is still great. It has a great rhythm to it. I'm just curious. I think that this is part of the Bachelor's keeping up with the times and trying to stay relevant.
Yeah, they're trying new things. They're trying to be a hotter, spicy
Yeah.
show. I know there's going to be a lot of boom boom room. Is that what they called it last year? Like the boom boom room where people
Yes.
are allowed to go to sleep with each other. So I know there's going to be a little bit
Yeah.
more scenes filmed there this year. There might be a couple vibrators coming into play. So I think that they're trying to make it a little bit more of a sexual show.
Is that okay? First off, to harp on what you said earlier, this is not Bachelor in Paradise is not a family show. A, while they blur out the butts, it's not a family show. B, are they showing more of the boom boom room because more people are going to that room than usual, or they're just trying again to change things up and now they're going to show more of that?
I think both.
That
I
make
think they
sense?
encourage people to go to the boom boom
Okay.
room. I think they're trying to make it a more sexy show because it is the hot summer spicy show, and they are just coming off the summer. And I feel like all the hot summer shows are happening right now, and this isn't airing until like end of September. So they're really trying to keep this
Totally.
alive. And we'll see how it does with like the back to school kind of vibe airing in the fall. Is there anybody you're excited to see? I will tell you this, there was a few people at the Men Tell All yesterday that are there to promote Paradise. I was told, and I saw some pictures of Victoria F. and Genevieve getting all dolled up, and Andrew S. and Serene were apparently there. So they're going to be showing a trailer for Paradise at the Men Tell All, and we'll probably get that in a couple weeks. So that's going to be exciting.
I'm always excited to see Andrew S on my TV screen. I think he just is infectious, like his personality, his smile, his jokes. I love him. I'm really excited to actually see Victoria Fuller. For some reason, she a little bit
Hmm.
annoyed me on Peter's season,
Oh yeah.
because I thought she was a little dramatic. But there's something about her. She just has like this element, this spark that she brings. And so I'm kind of excited to see her on the beach. Obviously,
I'm
I've
really
shared
excited to
before,
see
I'm
her.
excited about Michael A. Yeah, I'm excited about Michael A. We've
Hmm.
talked about that. I loved him. And then I'm pretty sure we've discussed that we won't be seeing the bromance as long between James and Aaron,
Yeah.
but that's
There's going to be
okay.
some good people going. And I'm excited to see
Yeah.
Shanae as well. And some of the guys are going to be there from Gabby and Rachel's season. So that's going to be super exciting as well. And we'll be keeping up
Isn't
with Bachelor
Hayden going
Nation
to be
over
there?
here. Hayden will be there as well. And a couple
Okay.
other guys. The twins are going to show up. And I don't want to give too much away,
The tw-
but
the twins need a redemption. I
they
feel
do.
like I'm sure you know more than I do, but for some reason I'm feeling slash hoping like they will get more time on Bachelor in Paradise and we will like them more than we liked them on The Bachelorettes. That's my
We'll
prediction.
see. We'll see. Well, let us know your predictions if you guys are listening. These
Yes.
are our top Bachelor Nation headlines of the week. So comment down below and subscribe to our channel and follow us here at Shared News. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality with Blakely McHugh. Our social media handles are on the screen right now. So be sure to give us a follow. Come say hello. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.